Just moments ago, all 7 billion people on Earth mysteriously died simultaneously. However, a diver who was underwater narrowly escaped this fate. As soon as he removed his breathing apparatus, he sensed something was amiss. He quickly put the apparatus back on and returned to normal. Initially, he suspected his body hadn't adjusted after being underwater for an extended period. So, he took off the breathing apparatus again. This time, he distinctly felt the inability to breathe, as if all the oxygen in the air had vanished in an instant. Moreover, animal carcasses were scattered everywhere on the streets. The once bustling world was now eerily silent. It wasn't until he saw a dead woman's body in a car that he truly realized the world had changed. The man, carrying the few remaining oxygen tanks, pressed on. Before long, he discovered a household. Cautiously, he pushed open the door and finally encountered the second living person besides himself. He gestured to the woman that he meant no harm. Due to the absence of oxygen, sound could no longer travel through the air, so they could only communicate via sign language. The man extended his hand, inviting the woman to come with him. Cradling her mother in her arms, the woman ultimately chose to leave with the man. Before departing, they placed their remaining oxygen tanks in a car. And so, the two of them drove off in search of survival and hope in this post-apocalyptic world. Along the way, the city streets were littered with corpses. They arrived at a supermarket seeking supplies. Noticing the phone at the checkout counter, the woman shakily picked it up and dialed emergency services. She eagerly hoped to hear a voice from the receiver. The dial tone echoed throughout the supermarket, but as expected, there was no response. Clinging to a glimmer of hope, they headed to a hilltop. The woman activated the distress alarm in her hand while the man launched a flare. As the smoke dissipated, their hope turned to despair. By this point, their oxygen supply was running dangerously low. Just as they prepared to embrace their impending death, suddenly a firework burst in the distant sky. The two looked at each other, their hearts pounding with indescribable excitement. Following the direction of the firework, they drove to a suburban villa. Music filled the room, but the person listening had long since lost their vital signs. The last shred of hope had completely vanished. The pair danced one final dance to the music. After the song ended, the man's oxygen tank was nearly empty. Without hesitation, he switched to the woman's remaining tank. At that moment, the woman realized her own tank was also about to run out. She signaled to the man that her oxygen was depleted, but he indicated there was nothing he could do. With only one tank left, neither wanted to be the first to enter hell. In a desperate struggle to live a little longer, they fought each other. During the scuffle, deer antlers on the wall fell to the ground, but they barely noticed as the oxygen tubes gradually entangled their feet. Eventually, they tripped, and the man displayed an agonized expression. The antlers had impaled his body. Within moments, he lost all signs of life. The woman, somewhat dazed, slowly removed the breathing apparatus from the man's mouth and took off his goggles. For the first time, she saw the man's face. Perhaps coming to terms with the situation, the woman removed her own breathing apparatus. Shortly after, she followed the man into the afterlife.